Okay, so we're going to use an extract to resolve a CERT132 error. You see here that we're trying to protect live student data, so we just send a shout out instead of the SSID to Marshall. Hopefully he'll edit this for us and get this included in this video for us. The student has a CERT132, and if you're unfamiliar with the CERT132, let's look at the student record. So you can see that the student is enrolled at Big Oak Flat Groveland at Don Pedro High School, 8/23/2022, so before Census Day. If we scroll down and look at this special education record, notice that Big Oak Flat Groveland has no special education record reported for this student with disability. There are no program exit dates, so this is a student who is eligible for special education services. So CALPADS is looking for a special education record at the district where the enrollment is. So, okay, why can't they just submit the adopted IEP to resolve the CERT132? Well, their special education system, I believe it's SACE, has already affirmed a special education meeting record after Census Day. So what this does, it prevents them from adopting the previously reported special education meeting into their system, SACE. But if they were to submit their meeting date, being that it's after Census Day, it still would not resolve the CERT132 because the services that have been provided to the student from the enrollment start date until the meeting date are not accounted for. All right. So what we're going to need to do, if they had submitted their IEP meeting that is after Census Day, we would have to delete that. But that, since it hasn't been submitted, we have been saved a step. All we need to do is adopt this recent special education record and the associated services. And we'll identify the services by finding the matching special education meeting amendment identifier. And you can see the meeting we need to find is meeting type code plan review meeting, right? These annual meetings. Definitely don't want to adopt the eligibility evaluation. Okay, that's a big setup. So now let's get to the business. We went to extracts and we used a special ed ODS download extract. Okay. How do we know that it'll work? Big Oak Flat Groveland doesn't have a special education record. Most of the time when you use ODS extracts, you're limited to those records which your LEA owns, right? Or has submitted. So that's where being familiar with documentation helps. The CALPADS extract specifications has selection criteria information. So let me pull that document in front of you. I should have it handy. And here it is. So we opened that document. I went to Chapter 2, ODS Extracts, Section 2.1, Selection Criteria. I scroll down in this table to Special Education Program, and it just details the selection criteria. So I did, in fact, select active students when I requested the extract. And I know that I'm going to have access to Mariposa County Unified's special education records because of this note. Extract will include complete historical data of selected enrolled students, regardless of the reporting LEA and SPED records. So even though I have not submitted a special education record for this student, I can adopt the IEP or copy the record that I need to adopt because all of the history for students with disabilities will be made available to me. And so I'll scroll down and we look at student services, and hopefully that is the same. I don't see that same note, but I'm going to trust that it's the same behavior because I'm going to need to report the associated services and the special education record. Okay. So, you want to have some familiarity with these different resources as you, are submitting data to CALPADS. So here is the special education program extract, but this is what your extract looks like, and we're going to import it into an Excel template, okay? And we're going to skip to that step because, again, this is live data, but if you don't know how to import files into an Excel template, I would suggest you go to the Figmat CSIS training channel, go to playlist, and then look up troubleshooting tips. Importing file extracts into CALPADS Excel template is there, as well as on the batch file templates under resources, batch file templates. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there are instructions for converting CALPADS extracts into an Excel file template, okay? So we're going to skip to an imported version. So we have imported our special education program extract into the template. You can see the headers here. All our ODS templates have headers. And you know it's an extract because these time date stamps are here that do not conform to the file structure, as well as you can see the record type is SPED which does not conform to the submission structure, right? So what we're kind of going to do now is identify the student's record. I'm going to search by SSID, right? It's going to show me a list of the student's record. Then I'm going to filter for just the meeting ID that I want for the plan review meeting, right? So we're going to skip a couple steps just because we don't want to reveal any student information. And so we search for the student's SSID, which of course we're not showing you. And we see that this student has 5 meetings in their special education program history. Now, the one we're going to want to adopt is meeting type code 20. It's a plan review meeting. There's 3 such meetings, but the one with the most recent date. So this is the record that we're going to want to copy, right? There's several ways to go about doing this. You can delete all the other records and just preserve this one. What I am going to do is filter for just this single record. Okay, so you can see that we filtered for that record, right? It has the most recent special education meeting date. It's a special education meeting code 20. Again, you can't see the SSID. Now, I'm going to copy this record and put it into a blank workbook because all I did was filter the data. I didn't delete anything. I'm just going to copy this meeting, right? I'll put it in a blank workbook and we will jump to that. So before we paste, we want to select just value from our paste options. The icon that says 1, 2, 3, that's just values. I'm going to select that and it's going to paste it in. I don't place my cursor on there because you will see the student's information. So I'm going to paste just the values. Okay, so when you're adopting the IEP, if you're using the extra, you want to make sure that the record type code is correct, that you update the reporting LEA, the school of attendance, the SELPA code, right, and the district of special education accountability. Possibly if the student is attending an NPS school, you need to populate this information as well. All right. So those are just the fields that need to be updated. Otherwise, everything, the meeting date, nothing's changing. You're adopting this previous record, right? Until you had your own IEP meeting, you were continuing the services that were prescribed in the previous meetings. Not much there to change. And through the magic of editing, this is what it looks like with the updated information. So at this point, we've made the changes. I don't even have to take the coloring out, right? I can just submit this as is, and the file, once I save it, can be uploaded to CALPADS, and that will be the special education record. Okay, so we're not going to show you how to upload a file. You should know how to do that. However, don't forget the 2 time date stamps at the end. You want to delete these, right? You want to make sure that you delete that and then save your file. So here we can see that the extract that we modified and made into a SPED file has posted for the single student. Now we'll go to the student's record and you can see no records there yet. So we're going to refresh and see if it appears. So you can see here that the record has been added. Now you may ask, why is it not prominent at the top? Because everything was the same, including the academic year. It just fell in here. The records reported. The academic year, I was told, and I have great authority on this, I spoke with our analyst, isn't nearly as significant. However, it may be wise if you're doing this yourself to update the academic year to the current year, but it corresponds with the meeting date. So we didn't touch the academic year at all. We just adopted the meeting. And now we have to remember to submit the corresponding services, but we want to update again the LEA, reporting CELPA, and the District of Special Education Accountability on those service records that correspond with this meeting. So we'll be back shortly. We're going to do the same process that we kind of detailed earlier in the video, and we'll show you the result. So we've already downloaded our services extract, and we're going to import that into the service template. All right, so we're going to import the student services extract into the template as we have done before. Now I'm going to filter for the student special education meeting ID. Again, I just filtered this, so now I'm going to copy the rows with the data and put them in a new workbook. I'm only going to use the values. I'm going to use the icon that says 1, 2, 3 under paste options. Okay. So one thing I want to make sure that I spread these out a bit. As you can see that these last two time date stamps needed to be separated from the header, so I can see that they need to be deleted. So let me delete this. That's deleted. Let me change the format, right? We know it just needs SSRV, not SSRV. And then I need to update reporting LEA, School of Attendance, CELPA, and District of Special Education Accountability. All right, so All the key fields have been updated. All the extemporaneous fields have been either deleted or modified so that the record can be submitted. So I'm just going to save and upload this file, and we'll be back. So as you can see, just like their previous SPED record submission, our SSRV was submitted after modifying the extracted data in a batch file template. And we'll go to the services to see if that service has been added. That the service is there, that corresponds with this record, and the CERT132 should be resolved with a new snapshot. So that is an example how to use extracts to resolve errors, right? We had system limitations. We couldn't update our special education system, and we needed CALPADS to reflect an adopted IEP. So we used the extracts to get those records. We modified the extracts in the batch file templates so that they can be submitted by our LEA. We uploaded the required files, right? According to the CALPADS file specifications, we uploaded the appropriate files to CALPADS. Now we're waiting on system functionality to refresh, to capture our changes. I anticipate with the new snapshot that the lone fatal error, CERT132, will be resolved.